What's up, guys? It's your girl Rivah, and I'm back again with another video. If you're new to this channel, hi, my name is Rivah. It's very nice to meet you. Before we get into this video, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. Make sure you guys give this video a thumbs up. And as I always say, make sure you guys leave your comments in the comment section down below. It does not matter how you feel about this video. We all want to talk about it. Also, if you're not following me on Instagram, follow my Instagram. It's @RIVAH _JORDON, and we're just gonna go ahead and just jump right into the video.
I think that it's such an issue that a lot more black men are dating Latino women.
You know what's funny? I know where it started from because, back then, like in the 80s, the Spanish community, they didn't want their daughters dating black men. And for a long time, they told their daughters, don't date black men. So when the money came in the 80s and things got better, black men were able to sway the parents and get the girl. So we kind of like turn into like a trophy thing. Like, yo, I'm dating a mommy, or I'm dating a Colombian, like something that's foreign or exotic. So I kind of feel as though like when, even me, in high school, if you didn't have no money, the Spanish girls didn't date you. So it's kind of like when you had a Spanish girl, finally, it was a big deal to you. So I kind of feel as though like it comes from the 80s when the black man was getting that money, buying cars, diamonds, all the gold, and the mommy wanted a parts of that shit. And eventually it turned to having like a trophy, like, yo, I got a Dominican or Colombian or Brazilian. So that's where it comes from. It's the fascination. And if you peep game, most black girls don't really have a good story about their fathers, which is sad. So, most black women, when they grow up, they're not angry, they're aggressive because they have to be. A little more, protective over their hearts, and they're aggressive. But meanwhile, the Spanish woman, when they see a black man, to them, it's kind of like their trophy. So it's kind of like the black woman, some of them do love us still, but some of us are tired of our shit. But the Boricua or the Colombian or Dominican kind of see us as brand new. They don't kind of equate that baggage with not having a father in my life with the black man stigma. To them, we're brand new.
So I'm just gonna stop it right there. So to what he says about it being an exotic thing, and his timeline could be correct when it comes to the 80s, but that's also because a lot of people before that were just sticking to their own because of a lot of different issues, like a lot of different things that were going on in regards to race, especially in America, like especially. So I think when people began venturing off, like, yeah, it was more of like ooh, this is foreign, like this is different, this is not something that like I've seen before or I've interacted with. Let me go ahead and do that. So in that regard, I could understand that kind of mindset where people are just like venturing off to try something new. But I don't know what he's saying about the father being in the home or not being in the home. I don't know if that necessarily had anything to do with the argument of the black men dating Latino women. I more so think it might be a difference in the energy or the essence that women who were different, or like the energy that they exuded at that time. I want to play it back a little bit because I want him to explain this one more time.
When the black man was getting that money, buying cars, diamonds, all the gold, and the mommy wanted a parts of that shit. And eventually it turned to having like a trophy, like, yo, I got a Dominican or Colombian or Brazilian. So that's where it comes from. It's the fascination. And if you peep game, most black girls don't really have a good story about their fathers, which is sad. So, most black women, when they grow up, they're not angry, they're aggressive because they have to be. A little more, protective over their hearts, and they're aggressive. But meanwhile, the Spanish woman, when they see a black man, to them, it's kind of like their trophy. So it's kind of like the black woman, some of them do love us still, but some of us are tired of our shit. But the Boricua or the Colombian or Dominican kind of see us as brand new. They don't kind of equate that baggage with not having a father in my life with the black man stigma. To them, we're brand new.
But that's because the black men did not raise them. So it's the same exact thing from both ends, whether they're black or Latina, because I know a lot of people who are Latina, okay, and they come from certain countries, and they don't want to deal with the person that's from their country because they equate it to their father. Oh, these men ain't this. Their fathers, their uncles, they're this, they're that. The same way that he's saying that black women have been doing that same thing. So when he's saying that they consider the black man the trophy, it's just because it's something that's different, the same exact aspect. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just because that man didn't raise her, so it's something that's different to her. Because she looks at all her men in the same way that he is saying that the black women might look at their men too. Because there's it's the same thing. If you listen to people who come from different countries, there's a portion. I'm not saying a majority or minority because I don't know. But I do know that there is a portion of people who will always turn and say, "Oh, not our men." And then there's a portion of people who say, "Oh, I only want our men." So if you understand what I'm saying.
Holiday. What do you think?
What do I think about?
What do you think? Why so many black men date Latina women?
I think a lot of black men date Latina women because I'm gonna have to agree with Guapo. It's something new. It's out of the ordinary. You know what I mean? So when you associate, if I can reverse it, you know what I'm saying? Why black women, we love our black men. At the end of the day, no matter how much I try to dance around it, you still end up with a black man. But women like to date outside our race because we do compartmentalize with the fact that a black man broke our heart. A black man did me dirty. A black man's my baby daddy and he ain't shit. You know what I'm saying? My daddy, he a black man, he left me, or whatever the case may be. And so just referring it back to men, it's the same thing. They want something different. They want something out of the ordinary. So even if she...
But if I don't... here's the part of the conversation that I'm not understanding. And I know that you guys will put it in the comment section to maybe try to clarify, but here's what I'm not understanding. We're talking about black men dating Latina women, right? And in this conversation, it's about how black women are saying that how black women will date outside their race, but that's not what we're talking about in this conversation. We're only talking about how black men date Latina women. That's the only like thing that we're talking about right now. But they keep going back to how black women don't like black men because of their fathers, or they ain't this and they ain't that, and look at this and look at that. But that's not... I'm not understanding like where that ties into why the man is going to something that's different. So maybe they're gonna, the more that we go, we're only a couple minutes in, so maybe the more that they talk about this, like we're gonna get more of a deeper understanding as to exactly what they're saying.
In Spanish, and he's dating the typical girl who doesn't comply or isn't submissive, and he ends up getting with a girl who is. He's gonna like her more because it's not the ordinary. It's not what he deals with every day. You understand what I'm saying? So I just think men, they're natural hunters. They're naturally out for the hunt. And so why would I go into the jungle and hunt for something that I catch every day? I can go easily like a bear. A bear can easily go in the water and catch his fish, right? But outside of that, when he goes and does get certain type of meats, he went out of his way to kill that prey.
Do you don't feel any kind of way about it as a black woman?
I'm going to tell you this, as a black woman, no.
So what I'm going to say, I think that men, if a woman is attractive to a man, maybe not every man is going to venture off, right? Because you have some men that are like, no, I am, pro-black. I only want to be in a relationship with a black woman. I might see another woman who's any other race that's attractive and I'm not talking to it. And you have some men that just love women. Right? Like you have men that just love women and love a woman that is attractive and will go after whatever appeases them. If they see a black woman walk past and she looks very attractive, they're going to try to talk to her. If they see a Latina woman who walks past and she looks very attractive, they're going to try to talk to her. Like, as long as, for some men, as long as a woman looks at them a certain way or gives that kind of like vibe, like, oh yeah, it's up, like he's going to try to talk to her. And it doesn't matter what it is, but it's not necessarily because they just want to venture off or they prefer something different. It's just that they're just attracted to beautiful women. So I think that's a big part of this piece that's missing in the conversation too. Like some of it is not so deep. Some of it is just like they just looking at what they see and they're like, yeah.
And no. And I'm going to say yes more than no because I feel like this. I'm beautiful. It does bother me when I meet men who are black who say to me, "You're pretty for a black woman." What does that mean? Or ask me, "What do you mix with?" When I look in the mirror, I see a brown skinned woman. I see a black woman that by no mistake could you even mistake me for anything else but African American. But to the society that we live in, because my eyes slant a little bit or whatever the association is, the straight hair, I don't know what it is.
So okay, so I'm gonna say I kind of feel like even in bringing this up, it's to say that like you don't really feel bad about it because some people look at you as like the exception also. So it's kind of like, whatever. But I mean, a black man who's saying that you're pretty for a black girl, like obviously, like he hit his head. Like obviously something's not okay. Like people need to check and make sure that everything's fine with him. Like because that statement alone doesn't make any sense. Like somebody saying that to you, a black man walking to a black woman and saying you're pretty for a black girl, a black person saying that. I've heard other races saying that to you. That's different. But a black man saying to you like, "Oh, you're pretty for a black girl," like obviously like you're sick. Like something is wrong with you. You have some kind of disorder going on where you don't realize that you are also black and that saying black woman, there's a large range of our people, okay? Which leads me to the next thing. When people walk up, because people say this to me all the time. Like I could show you guys a million messages, even in my DM on Instagram. What do you mix with? What do you mix with? What do you mix with? Now, for me, it shows a level of ignorance, and that's not in a disrespectful way. It's just that black being a black person, even if we want to look at just Africa, right? Being a black person doesn't look one way. Like our being black, we can produce people who look so different. Like we can produce somebody that has a straighter nose, somebody that has a wider nose, somebody that's darker pigmented, somebody that's lighter pigmented. So to me, it's just a lack of information that people are displaying when they say things like this. Because if they truly knew the knowledge of self, then they would be aware that just saying somebody is black doesn't mean that they are going to look one way. It's just not possible. We look so different. And also, through all the things that we've been through, placed here, placed there, we all are going to look very, very different based off of the fusions that have happened in transfer. So to me, it's a lack of ignorance when somebody says that. Because there's so many different looks when it comes to a black woman. Straighter hair, curly hair, thick hair, slanted eyes, squinted eyes, round eyes, almond eyes. Like we're just so different. So again, that's a lack of information.
The lace is laying right that day. The curly bundles is extra curly. You associate me with, she has to be mixed with something because she's pretty. Because in your mind, you've been to these countries and you've been these places, and all you've experienced is the beauty of the women there. Because you're not in Brooklyn no more, and you're not in Jersey no more, and you're not in your state anymore. It's something new. So now you meet a black woman who's actually very attractive, and not to take anything away from our black women, but we subject ourselves to the commentary.
But I don't understand this. Because in Brooklyn, there's a lot of beautiful black women. I mean, if we want to talk about New York, right? Like, because there's so many different types of people. There's so many different types of people, like Africans, Jamaicans, Haitians, St. Lucians, Panamanian. Like, I can call up, there's so many different countries that people come from. And they're black people. So even when you go to a different country, I feel like using New York was a really bad example, because when you go to other countries, you're going to see people who look like the people who are living there in New York City, because there's so many, all of those people are the people who moved to New York. So I think that's a very bad example, okay? But also, there's people, I'm going to let her finish, then I'll come back.
Sometimes I'm going to take full responsibility for us and say, you have a choice as a black woman. Either you want to continue to follow the stigma and be a part of that stigma, or you can set yourself aside and say, okay, hey, as a black woman, I already know that you already expect me to come in here and be loud and ghetto. I'm not going to be that girl. I'm going to be something and I think we'll get a different response from our men.
I don't think being loud and ghetto is an automatic black trait. I think that this is something that I've heard people talk about all the time, but being loud and ghetto is not just a black trait. It's just a low class trait. It's a low class trait. And there's a lot of people who can be real loud and real ghetto. And if we want to talk about people who are black, people who are Latina, who are white, it doesn't matter. Like, if you have low class, you're going to articulate and you just have a certain behavior. If you don't have a certain essence about yourself. And I don't mean low class as in, like, finances, like, you're in the lower class because you don't have certain finances. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the mentality. That kind of, like, rugged, like, I don't care, I don't have nothing about myself, like, whatever, take me as I am, who cares, blah, blah, blah. It's just a certain mentality that some people have. Regardless. But I'm just going to stick to Black and Latina because that's what the title is. So I think that's one thing. But what I do want to say, what I was going to say is that, she's saying, people that say that she's pretty for a black girl, or what is she mixed with? Let me tell you an issue that we do have. The issue that we do have is the people who feed into this as women, the women who feed into this, who try to separate themselves from the rest, and who will, think about how many times you're like, oh, what do you mix with? Oh, my great-great-granddaddy is Indian. Like, afraid as a woman to just say that I'm black. No, I'm black. What are you mixed with? No, I'm black. I'm a black woman. Like, I'm a black woman. What you see here is a black woman. That's what I am. It doesn't matter what you think is because I'm mixed with, because I'm this, because I'm that. No, because I'm a black woman. And I'm standing in that. Because I find that to be the source of all of my beauty. So I'm not going to put it on to anybody else. The people who have to reach and find what they're mixed with to deem themselves beautiful, those people are outwardly displaying that they don't feel like black is beautiful, so they have to add another entity to make themselves feel good. And that's just keeping it 100 with you guys. So as much as you might have a man that walk up to you and be like, oh, what do you mix with? You have a number of women behind that who have either found something to be mixed with, made up something to be mixed with, or, deem themselves higher than the rest of other women because of what they're mixed with.
Lola, welcome.
Thank you.
Okay. As you're a Latino woman, okay, do you date black men?
I do.
You do or you don't?
I do.
Okay.
That's all I date.
Why do you prefer to date black men?
It's just the brown skin, the way that they actually treat women is differently than Latino men. They actually, the black men that I've dated before, they respect you, their background and their way of treating their mom and their family is different than Latino men. Latino men don't give a fuck about what they fucking do to you, and if you find out that if they have a side bitch or whatever, I believe the black men that I've dated, they're more respectful.
Interesting, right? Because do you guys remember what I just said? And you guys already know I don't watch any video before I react to it, but did you guys hear what I said in the beginning of the video when I said that I know personally women who are Latina who will say, I will not date this man from my own country or that is Latin like me because they ain't this and they ain't that? We have a prime example right here. Prime example. The same thing that both of the people who talked before who were saying that black women do, listen to this. She's saying, I prefer a black man rather than my men because I look at my men the same way that black women are looking at their men and saying that they ain't this, they ain't that, and they ain't this.
Their wife is their wife. Untouchable. You understand? So for me, it's something different. I love black men, so. Hold on, pause it. Hold on for 1 second. That goes back to what me and Guapo just said. Her experience with the black man is this amazing. I'm not discrediting our black men. I love y'all. I love y'all brown skin too. I love your dark skin. I love the milk chocolate, the vanilla chocolate. I love it all.
No. fulfillment. Common courtesy. I'm sorry.
It just goes back to what Wapo and I said. Her experience. You know, I'm not going to belittle our black men. I love the milk chocolate, the dark chocolate, the brown chocolate, all the melanin. But if I have to think about what I think when I see a black man off the rip, isn't always the most positive.
So when she thinks about, if she has to think about what she thinks about when she sees a black man, it's not always going to be the most positive. This is the issue. This is one of the biggest issues. One of the biggest issues. Because the fact that you see color so vividly as a black woman when you're interacting with your black man, you can't look at a situation and be like, oh, man, I've been dating a lot of fools out here. Like, I need to change, you know, the type of people that I'm interacting with or allowing in my space as a woman. And maybe I need to do something differently, or I need to level up so that I can have a different experience. You're saying that, like, oh no, I look at black men and I think of all the wrong things. Like, that's all you're dating. If you dated, like just like the Latina woman said, if you dated all of another race, what are you going to do? Are you going to say that all of these Latin men ain't nothing either, and now I need to venture off to a different race, into a different race, into a different race? Or are you going to say that it's the caliber of men that you are, the caliber of men, that you are accepting, that are giving you the results that you don't like? There's a big difference.
Oh, your experience with a black man is a great one.
Yeah.
Your experience with the Latino man is a different one. If I have to interject and say my experience with a Latino man, they're more perverted to me. They're more, oh mommy, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, mommy.
Look at that.
They're very sexual. They're very open. They don't mind saying what the fuck is on their mind. They don't care. They want to lick your pussy in the street and they don't care. They're like, mommy, oh my God, lick your shit.
And you know what it is, though?
Black men are not like that.
Being a black
men are not like that.
That's very vulgar, but okay.
Like, it's crazy because, you know, like, being a black man or a black woman, like, we are so blessed because without us, the world will have no soul. You feel me? And it feels like the world will have, you know, our music, how we dress.
I want to say something really quick. So, for example, so he says he's a black man. I don't know if that means that he's Afro-Latino or if he's just a black man, right? So when people say, like, oh, where do you mix with as well? And this is just trying to figure out where you're from. When you look like how he looks, it's not negating. It's just a lot of people that are here in America, because a lot of people in America are not from here. So it's common that somebody's going to ask, like, oh, where are you from? You know what I'm saying? Just to see, because maybe if you live in a place like that doesn't have a lot of people who migrate there, right? Like rural areas, maybe like in America, you're maybe not going to be prone to asking that one. But when you live in a place like New York City, Miami, LA, even maybe Texas, like, you're going to be like, where are you from? Or Atlanta, oh, where are you from? Because there's a lot of different people that look differently there, you know? So for him, like, if somebody was like, oh, where are you from? And he's like, oh, I'm black. It's like, oh, okay, cool. You know what I'm saying? Or he might be like, oh, I'm from Puerto Rico. Because you see features, but you don't really know. So that's just common that somebody might ask you that, right? But if somebody's asking you that to try to deem you beautiful because of what you are mixed with, that's a whole different story. So we can't act like that's not common that somebody might ask that kind of question, because they might. They might like, oh, where are you from? Because they can't tell. They just don't know. And they don't want to assume the wrong thing.
Our food, like, we are the source of a lot of trends. So it's like when a black woman sees a black man, she used to all of that. You know, she used to him, you know, having being
so she's used to him having. She has just as much flavor.
Look, a black man's strengths to a black woman is normal. Him having rhythm.
Not to me, child. Not to me. I don't know, and I feel like a lot of other black women would agree with me when I say that. It's not about being used to it. Like, oh yeah, like, we're just used to, you know, because those are people who are genuinely looking and seeing color when they're interacting with their black man. Like, oh, here comes another black man. Like, that just sounds crazy to me. Like, no. They know that they're only going to date black men, but they look for each person as a different and don't take this the wrong way, but I'm saying a different experience, as in like this person has a different family, this person might have a different background, this person might come from a different place. Like they're not looking at it like this for real. Like and the people who are the people who are like, oh, see, black men ain't this and black men ain't that. Those are the people that we I just found out about these people. Those are the people who we talk about that are divestors as black women, because they look at everything that a black man does as a tick. Like, oh, I knew he was gonna do this because that's what they all do. Those people who generalize it.
Being like her, him being cool with his mother, him being well endowed. So to her, that's normal. But to a Spanish woman, let's face it, having somebody who's tall, being well endowed, loving his mother, loving his grandmother, his whole swag is different. How he dresses, to her, we're different. And she don't care about, how, in the shade room is always black men this, black men that. But to a mommy, she got into that about black men cheat or black men. To her, you brand new. Mm-hmm. And to a black woman, it comes from her father and the men she's been around, her uncles, and seeing no good black men. So her mind to a black man is like another, he ain't shit. But to a mommy, she's not thinking that.
I really don't agree with this statement. I don't agree with this. Let me tell you why I don't agree with this. Because, again, when you talk about even, like, people from different Caribbean islands, I'm going to use different ones. I'm going to say, like, somebody that's maybe from, like, Guyana, right? For example. Somebody that's from Guyana. They might be like, oh, all of these Guyanese men ain't this and ain't that. And then love a Jamaican man because he's not resembling her own family or her own this. And it does not mean that she doesn't love black men as a whole, but she don't like Guyanese men, right? The thing is that it's very much the same thing when you talk to black women who are in America, because these are, even though it's, America, they look at them all the same exact way. But the problem is that they're looking at all of these people based off of their skin color, not based off of where they're from. They're not going to be like, I would never date a man from Brooklyn. Right? Like, I'd rather date a man that's from Atlanta. Like, they're not doing that. That's a problem. The problem is that they're generalizing all of these men, which doesn't make sense. And again, the woman who is doing that and the woman who is focused on skin pigment, that's an issue already.
Yo, that cute black nigga is fine. So, now back to the money. At one point, you couldn't date, Spanish girls. Their mother was very, very hard on it. But the one thing about Spanish mothers, if you getting money, they will let their Spanish daughter date your ass.
Yeah, but also, it depends on where exactly those people are from too. That's another thing that I feel like is not being touched on. It also depends on where they're from, because a lot, when we say Latina, it depends. There's so many different countries. There's so many different aspects of being Latina, right? It's not just one place. There's Puerto Ricans, there's Dominicans, there is Colombians, right? But also we have to take into account that in all of these places there are also black people who are there too. So it's a lot different when you're dating someone who is from that country, who is quote unquote Afro-Latino, which I hate even saying that. I'm not gonna lie, I really hate saying like Afro-Latina, Afro-Latino, because when they were making their rounds and dropping people off, that's just where you went. And because of the people who colonized that space, that's why you talk like that. If we're gonna be 100, that's just me being honest, okay? But it depends too, because maybe for some, there's gonna be some families that are from Dominican Republic that know they look at their own people who are black, not even just a black man, but their own people who have that skin pigment a certain way, and you could never touch their daughter. But then there's people who they look and they say, oh yeah, he may be black and he's from America, but their family doesn't have a certain mindset or mind process against the black man, because if maybe that person who looks at their grandmother or whatever, their grandmother might be a black woman who's from that country, who's from DR. So it's different. And then you also have people who are the complete opposite too, right? Some people who have a certain pigment and would maybe look like they're white or whatever, that are from DR, and just don't have a prejudice towards other people and have no problem with you dating, and then a person who might even look like you who's from DR who would never want her daughter looking at you because she looks at you with disgust. So it's really there's a lot more context that's necessary with these kind of conversations. That's what your girl Rivah is here for.
Get pregnant and move in and all that.
Shaq.
I don't know. I think it goes back to culture and like society. Because I mean, like you think about it, and like this first, like Tyra Banks was the first Sports Illustrated model, and like that's early 2000s. So it's like if that's quote unquote the standard, and like it's just hard to like kind of break out of that. And so we go from like all these white women, and all in our society, and then you switch, and then okay, Spanish women, they're kind of like white women, and then it's just like okay, now black women, all right, white woman, it just
Light skin black.
Even when a girl
Yeah,
light skin,
even when
black.
a black girl has a black.
Even hold on. Even when black men date, the whole thing when Chris Brown got beat up for the whole comment of I like my girls with good hair, and and the black women attacked him and said, well, most of the girls with these good curly black hair grades are light skinned.
Yeah.
So, like he said, if Tyra Banks is
Which is such a which is such a crazy statement. Because where are you getting that from? That most of women that have a certain grade of hair have a certain skin pigment. That doesn't make any. That's not true. That's not true. If we're talking about yes, there are mixed women, but there are also a portion of people who are not mixed. Like I know a lot of people who are not mixed, and they have a certain hair texture. Like they have a certain hair texture. If they mix, it's like way down and they don't even know about it. Like it's not a one size fits all being a black person. It's just not. It's just not.
standard of this slim, perfect face, nose, and because she's the top model, then how do I go from that, watching it on TV, aspiring to have a woman like that in my house, and then I go to the streets of Manhattan, and that's not the typical black woman walking down the street. So now I have to find something associated closely to it, a white woman who understands a black man.
Exactly.
So now you don't date the white woman because you're like, damn, society's gonna beat me up, so I'm gonna go get me a fair-skinned black woman.
That's almost true. No, that is kind of true. But I'm gonna say this though, like besides the all the super.
But if a man is going out there to go get something as close to that, for example, right? Because there's a great portion of men who love dark-skinned women and will not look at me, look at nobody who's light-skinned, and even try to talk to them because they're like, no, thank you. Like, I want my sisters that dark skin and that look like this. Everybody has different preferences. But I feel like when a person is looking outside of themselves to try to get something that's passing, it's because they're trying to now create a mixture. They're trying to create a light-skinned child or this child or that child. And a lot of that comes from the mindsets of the people from back then that white is right. So they look at that as acceptance or, that's how it should be because we are the ones who don't matter and we are the weaker people and the wrong people. So let me hurry up and help create people who look differently. Like, it's not all one thing.
Things. Dating a Spanish woman for a black guy with a Spanish girl, the food is different. Her whole vibe is different. And we're all creatures of wanting to try new things and be a part of new experiences. And being with a Spanish girl, to me, it feels different. Like your food is totally different than what I eat. The house looks different. The way you dress is.
And what's so interesting is that the food is not completely different than what you eat. The seasoning is different. But the food itself is not different. Like, it's not. Maybe that's just me saying something because I'm Jamaican, but I know how to, and I cook, and I make Spanish food, and I make Jamaican food, so I know, it's not. It's really like one or two ingredients, but then the seasoning is different. That's really it. Like, they still gonna make potato salad, they still gonna make fried chicken, or stewed chicken, it just may be seasoned a little bit different, but it's really not such a big disassociation. Maybe it is something that is going to taste different for sure. Okay, we know that, but it's not like this big difference. Like, they still have their family structure, they still have this, they still have that. But I'm waiting for them to say the difference that I am well aware of when it comes to cultures.
Right. How you smell is different. Like your hair is different. Now it's not better than a black woman's, but it's different, and people like to have
You
changed.
think you fall in love easier with a
I
Spanish
think-
woman easier than you would with a black woman?
I mean, my answer. I'm gonna give you a real
Yes
answer.
or no?
I'm gonna give you a real answer. It don't matter her background as far as my love. But I tell you, me being a black man, being with something different, I may be more infatuated with a Spanish girl more than the black girl. Not because she's better than the black girl, but she's just different, you know? Because my mother was black and my grandmother was black. So I seen all the food. I'm used to it. So getting some new beans and rice, a new chicken, a new woman that was raised differently than what I was raised different. Remember, a Spanish woman, they're raised to be a wife.
But why isn't a black woman raised that way?
Most black women are raised to be independent. Remember, let's be
Wait,
real.
say that again?
Most black women are raised to be strong, tough, independent, and don't take no shit. Because the daddy wasn't shit. I raised you alone by myself. Be a strong black woman. So they come into the game with their guard up ready. Like, I ain't beat for your shit, nigga. I know what's going on. Now, a Spanish girl is raised to serve. They be cooking for their father at a young age, washing the dishes, washing the table, mopping all Saturday morning. Let's face it, they're raised to serve.
So I have to say something about this. Do I understand what he's saying in this aspect? Yes. I do understand. I want to make a small point, and then I'm going to come back to what I'm saying right now. My small point is, it's not just about being a Spanish woman. It's not. I have to say that. Because it's a like when we talk about is it a culture thing, like the title says, it's a cultural thing. Like, it's a lot of different other countries that are not Spanish speaking countries that women are raised that way. Jamaica being one, Haiti, like I said earlier, Guyana, like Trinidad, like a lot of Caribbean countries are like that. However, in the West, Sister Shahrazad Ali said it the best. She said that feminism came and that black women interfered in something that was not even their business, because their man wasn't even seen as no hierarchy, patriarchy man, because he wasn't even seen as a man to these people. That's a white woman trying to be equal to the white man. And we came in here with our enough self trying to be a part of something that really never started, and it wasn't something about us. We were trying to stick together to survive. A lot of different situations have brought our families apart in a lot of different aspects, in a lot of different ways, which is true. But in a lot of the freedoms that we have as women in the West, with this mentality, okay, because we have a lot of the support from all types of people who don't mind us separating ourselves from our men because they still don't like them, only when they really do. We have a lot of support. We become we've been given a chance to be equal to our men, so it's to the demise, because at this point now you're like, oh, we don't even need them to survive. We're gonna get help. We're gonna get this. Okay, yeah, they all ain't this. They all ain't that. They all ain't this. Let me tell my kids this. Let me tell my kids that. Let me tell my kids that. But there's also so that's an aspect that we always speak about and we all know about. But there's also women who have certain structure that are from here, that are raising their children to be wise. So I can't say that that is a general statement. There are black women who are from America who believe in family structure and who are raising their children to serve their husbands, their young girls, to serve their husbands and to be wives. There are. It depends on what aspect of it depends on where you live. I'm be honest, it depends on where you live, and it also depends on the people that you associate yourself with too. To be real.
I swear to God, I'm at a girl's house having dinner. I got up with my own plate, put it in the garbage, put it in the sink. Her mom spazzed on her in Spanish about da 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 da. Now, in the black woman's house, if I get up my own plate, she gonna say, "That's a damn good nigga. He got his own shit. I like him, Shirley. He got his own shit."
But this is the people that you are interacting with. Like, these are the people that you're dating. These are the people that you're associating yourself with. But that you can't speak for all black women and say that though either. Because I want to be fair. That's not, you can't speak for all of them. Because there's a lot of like talk about like certain women, right? And there's always been a talk about, and I can't even say it's in one space, but like that whole like Southern hospitality and stuff like that, and like there's a lot of people who have these same standards and same morals and are black people and are from here. It's all about who you are associating with. I'm not gonna say it's majority, minority. I don't know the numbers, but that can't be an entire broad statement because just the way that he's saying that Shirley is talking kind of says Shirley's mentality and where Shirley's from and the type of class of people that Shirley are the class of the people that raised Shirley. And again, we're not talking about classism as in like lower class, this, that. We're talking about the mindset. Like being classy, like we're talking about that kind of mindset.
Yeah, better get up and get that plate and get it washed and show him you are a wife. They raised their woman to be catering. Am I wrong or no?
Wait, so what was
She's
your
Spanish though, so let's find out.
No,
is that true?
But what was your dad? What was your dad?
My dad's black.
Your dad's black too?
Yeah. He just really
He's
young.
a light
I mean, I am a little something, but when the cops see me, I'm black. So we're going to keep that straight. I'm going by the cops.
We're going to close it up with Lola. Go ahead, Lola.
How were you raised as a woman?
I was raised to serve.
See?
To serve.
How do you feel towards black women, right? When we date your Spanish men?
Yeah, but I was okay. But I'm okay. I'm not even gonna talk about me. But like I said, I named so many other countries where there's, they're not Spanish speaking countries in the same space that the drop offs were made, that are not Spanish speaking, that women were raised to do so, as well as here also. So, but I don't like how they're saying like Latina women, like, because there's so many different aspects. And a lot of people get influenced by America. A lot of people get influenced by the West. So you have a lot of other people in other countries who are raising their kids to have a certain mentality still, even though they're not from here. Whether not be from here. The thing is that there's certain standards in other places that are not so prevalent in the West, in America. There's certain standards that other cultures have culturally to raise their children a certain way, but a lot of people are still actually being influenced by the same West that people are complaining about too. And are saying, girl, you could do better by yourself. You don't need no man to do that. You don't need, and it doesn't matter where they're from.
It's true because I've seen it.
They are just, and somebody in my live stream said this last night. Sorry to start it and stop it, but somebody in my live stream said it last night. It's just the fact that they have the principles that they can rely on, or pull out of a hat if need be, to do the right thing because they saw certain things. It's just the choice of not choosing to.
This guy with a Dominican girl, the girlfriend. How the fuck you dating that Morena? You are offended.
Now, I was raised with blacks.
Okay.
So, to me, it's not nothing new. To me, I was raised in a black community. I was raised in the projects. So
let's say your culture.
So is a black man.
But your culture, though. Let's talk about your culture. Not you personally, but your culture as a Spanish culture. How do you think the majority of the Spanish women feel when they find out that their Spanish man is cheating on them with the black woman?
Oh, they hate it. They hate it. It's a competition.
But
it's like if
why is it a competition?
Let answer the question though.
It's a competition because they feel like it's something like, oh, you dating a morena, like fuck that bitch, da 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 da. But then the morena is like, oh, fuck you, bitch, da da da. So it's like on and it's like something going on.
Do you see black men and Spanish men as equal? Like you don't care if he's black or Spanish, or do you have a preference?
No, I have a preference.
And what's your preference? Black. Now,
But reverse it.
Are you Puerto Rican, right? Are you Puerto Rican?
No,
Now, hold on.
I'm not trying to be racist.
No,
I'm not trying to
no,
do
no.
this.
No
Listen,
judgment.
all right.
Let's go.
Like,
No judgment.
hold on. Like, in my perspective as a woman and how Spanish guys been with me and my relationships, it's trash. You understand? Like, no luck. But how black men been with me, my past relationships, they've been good. I've been the bitch.
Is it because of the sex? Does sex have anything to do with it?
Nah, not really. It's not the sex. It's about,
Do black men fuck you better than Spanish men?
That sounds like a personal question.
No. Let's be honest. This show is for. Do you think that black men complete
You
or
have a
sexually?
connection with someone, it doesn't matter
It's
what
like a
race
yes or
is.
no. It's a yes
Yes
or
or no
no
question,
It's
though.
a yes
It's a yes
or
or no
no
question.
question.
Let's be honest. Come on. Time's ticking.
We gotta
No,
go.
okay, but
Yes or no?
I just want to, because I know the people are watching, the women are watching, they want me to ask this question. I know they do. I feel it.
Yeah,
Ask the question. Come on.
So as you are, Spanish women are so susceptible to wanting to be with our black men, right? But you guys don't have that same energy, and I'm not saying my experience because I'm cool with Spanish women, but y'all don't have the same energy towards black women. So I'm gonna ask the question of: do you think, not just you as personally, or within your culture, do you guys honestly feel like you as a Spanish culture are better than black women? Yes or no?
I mean, all right.
Don't
answer the question.
You know what it is?
Stop.
Like, for most, like, to me personally, no. To me, no, because I was raised with blacks. Like I said, to other Spanish women, yeah. Not to me, because I was raised with black women. You understand?
Yeah.
I was raised, like, wearing the weird, like, I have a weave on right now, like,
Yeah.
I was raised with morenas, project, gang or whatever. So I was raised like that. But in the community that I'm in and how they feel,
So she's saying that she was raised, like, she said that she was raised in a black community. That's the first thing she said. And, like, she was raised, around women, so she has a different level of understanding. But I don't know. I think that question might be a little bit unfair to even ask, because majority of people who are different than somebody else always think that they're better. They always think that they're better, because you can ask a Puerto Rican and a Dominican who are both Latinas, two Latinas, one from Puerto Rico and one from Dominican Republic, and say, do you think that Dominicans are better? They're going to say, yeah. Oh, do you think Puerto Ricans are better? They're going to say, yeah. You're from Trinidad and you are from Guyana. Do you think Trinidadian women are better? Yeah. Do you think Guyanese women are better? Yeah. Like, you're always going to pick yourself to think that you're the best or you're raised the best. So I don't think that was even like a question that was even necessary to be asked. Like, if you're going to ask a black woman, like, you think you're better than everybody else? Yeah. But you're supposed, like, if you're raised and you have a lot of self-respect and you respect the people who raised you and you respect your culture, you're automatically going, and you love your culture and you love yourself, you're going to say that, yes, you are the best. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think that there's anything wrong with people picking themselves. I don't think that was a necessary question. But based off of this, I have something in mind for you guys. I genuinely have something in mind for you guys, just based off of this conversation. Let me know, though, what you guys think about this in the comment section down below. I definitely want to hear you guys' thoughts, opinions, feelings, what makes you upset about it, what makes you happy about it. I want to hear it all in the comment section down below. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up. And if you're not following me on Instagram, follow my Instagram. It's @RIVAH_JOIZON. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Mwah! Love you.